Hello, everybody. Close a second, yes, you get it now, huh? Everybody, well, close a second, yes, you get it. Okay, so hello, guys. Today is Wednesday, June 11th. There's a lot going on. And it's funny, today I just, use the time of the month before, little somebody feels discombobulated, but I think it's mostly me. So just looking at what's going on in the world. And of course, it's not that I'm avoiding the California situation. I want to address it, but we know that it's something that trash is creating, right? So, okay. So that's just something I've been thinking about. So when we do the protection, I'd like to ask for protection, a beautiful ray of light coming in top of my head as a breathe in. I fill my lungs as a breathe out. I create a circle. I create a circle. I step into it. I step into it. I feel protected. I feel connected. I like to ask that information come only from the highest sources, that it create the good and all the goodness. So it is. All right. Okay. So here we are. I have a series of questions as I've had in the last few videos. I find that it's easier to just get to it, right? Stick to the point and help you guys also navigate through the video. And I can also easily create timestamps as a result. So just several questions, actually a lot of questions here. So the first question I have here is, what is Trump looking to divert from regarding the LA situation, which is largely created by him? And by the way, I don't remember where I read this, but apparently Stephen Miller picked the locations, told the DHS to go uh, seek immigrants at a Home Depot parking spots, because that's where a lot of immigrants go to get a construction and contracting related labor. So, okay, so let's see the question. What is Trump looking to divert from regarding LA? Everything. He wants to say, it shows me that this is a part of their plan to blame everything on below cities, right? Blame everything on immigrants and essentially grab the media and have them focus on this while they do whatever they want, while they have people help Russia, whatever it is. So they want dramatic situations so that they can keep people in fear and keep people glued to the television. Okay. So, and so we asked the media, it's saying, of course, these things are happening. There are infiltrators, just like there were in Minneapolis. And the situation is not helping. Doesn't make sense. So they're creating, it's like I see the image of Stephen Miller pouring alcohol and lighting a match and then calling it an accident. Like, but it's actually not the right comparison, because it's not as if I just feel like they have almost professional instigators. And you say even random Russian connected people creating the situation there. Guys, by the way, this happened in Ukraine and a lot of Georgia, different countries, right? They would send these people to create this riot-like situations and right and use that as an excuse for everything. So, okay, so it's saying it's a power grab. Okay, so that's so the summary here really is that to Trump, the LA situation he created is a power grab, right? Reichstag fire like. So create a manufactured situation that would then allow him to grab more power. So the question is, will he succeed? Meaning, will he be able to? I'm not doing okay, notwithstanding the things I have seen and everything, of course, but we want to know how far will he go. Okay. So because it feels imminent, the collapse of this whole thing. But how far will he go is essentially the question. Okay, let's see here. Actually, not how far he will go, but yeah, how far? How far? So basically, the question is, how far will he go? How long until things turn around regarding Oleg? So how far will he go? I see him screaming like a decadent Roman emperor. "Oh," when people are thrown at the lions. But then I see there's bars, like almost like the bars, but he's the one in jail. He's screaming, screaming, and then he's moved out, like out of the arena. He's grabbed and moved out of it. So of course, this is not exact. This is more symbolic. So how far? So considering this, what the situation is today, to what the situation is next. Next, how far will he go? It's saying it should be de-escalate, but it's saying he is creating this. But it's saying that Gavin Newsom isn't he's doing a fantastic job, and he wasn't expecting this, that to have such a person in such a good person in control. Okay. Okay. So okay. So then this leads to another question, right? Which is a logical question. And I feel like I've seen a question like this asked on the comments, which is this is sort of like a rhetorical question, right? The second part of it. Why so the two questions here. Why did the military allow troops to be sent to LA? And then imagine someone saying, Rosie, didn't you see the military stand up to him? Right, which is true. So how are they? I feel like I kind of know the answer, but it's very fair to ask, right? Why did the military allow troops to be sent to LA? And Rosie, didn't you say that the military did stand up to him? It's saying that they until they let's say telling me here until he's removed, and like presumably they remove him, they can't completely uh, like he still is in charge to a degree. And as long as the troops are not used for nefarious means, but aren't they being used for nefarious means? They could be monitoring what's going on. Okay. So saying the news and media needs to start asking questions, and they are starting to ask questions, actually. Didn't I say the military would stand up to him? That's right. Not it's saying it's at the highest levels. Once they see that the situation is untenable, right? And it's saying they had alerted him in that meeting in Camp David, like you said, and it's saying don't go by what he is saying and what the brouhaha, not right that the media is reporting, like they are kind of blowing it up even more. So take some time off because he wants to provoke danger and fire and such. Okay, so let's see, that kind of answers the question to a degree, right? So I have a question then. If because then it like this two different. Then it's good to just ask this question, theoretical question. Will Trump ask for the military to create violence? Will they comply? So because of course, knowing him and what his goals are, it's natural for him and his bros to want things to escalate further. So will he? It's saying it's wow, guys. It shows me January 6th what he did. He wanted people to go and attack, but he can't say it quite like that. And so the thing that I saw is that no, many will say, I think many, if not all, will say no, but I don't think it's that direct what is happening. Okay. So what I see is this, as I was writing this question, I have this vision of Gavin Newsom having arrested people and like exposing the plot. Basically people close to Trump and say the military knows this so much so that they told you, right? They told Trump, and I saw that on I think it was Saturday or something when he met with them in Camp David. So okay, so all right. So what we have here, really, like I said, is this vision of Gavin Newsom had a press conference saying that they have evidence of and have arrested people who were deliberately targeting uh, the location, and that they have links to far right groups. And even some, honestly, some of them were arrested and were responsible for January's. Saying even some of them, because they were pardoned, right? They could be in participating in this. Okay, I still see the Proud Boys. All right. So interesting. So then the question is this going to happen soon or what? Yes. And I see then this image of Trump kind of like retreating and embarrassed. So, all right. And then the natural question really, which is how will the LA situation be resolved? What can Governor Gavin Newsom do to stop Trump and his administration? I see, Trump screaming. Then I see him being pushed, like people grabbing him by the shoulder. He's removed. Then there's a really quick button where everything escalates immediately. The ones that are pushing violence are arrested. And is it so? I guess there's a timeline here, really. How much longer? It's saying, I say he. Okay, I know it sounds a little nothing. The timing is always hard to is it's not it's at least reliable of all of this. But I see that it's saying it can't go much longer. It's I still feel because it's just that today I'm just feeling like hormonal, but it's there's just something very unstable. It's as if this passes quickly because it's not meant to be here. Okay. So then okay, so he is removed, then the whole thing stops. The persons responsible for this are arrested. And Newsom, his public profile is really great. Okay. So, so, mhm. Okay. So what can Gavin Newsom just say? He's doing exactly what needs to be done, which is to not back down. Okay. And it is saying talking back, doing. And it feels as if a lot of, even though I'm a little surprised, to be honest, the local law enforcement is on his side, the side of Gavin Newsom. Okay. So how, yeah, it's saying it's almost like it will de-escalate. When it de-escalates, it de-escalates more dramatically. But I do think that a lot of these protests are infiltrated. I mean, all of them pretty much. So as long as they are so this brings up the question, are these so no, it's saying protests, peaceful protests should continue. But those, that's right, California are being infiltrated. They want to create a situation like the Reichstag fire. So today is Wednesday. Yeah, it's saying that things should de-escalate by mid next week. But we'll see. I mean, honestly, I wish, or is it? No, it's saying that it is telling me again that big things will happen between now within a week. Okay. That it's the beginning of the week towards the end of the week. There could be bombshells and other things like that. Okay. All right. So let's go to the next. So I heard about this. Someone commented saying that they were disgusted at Trump. Trump went to Fort Bragg, that's a military base, and the people that were cheering him, the 82nd Airborne Division, is that right? Something like that, if I recall correctly. So there's an article by military.com that, of course, they handpicked the people in there. So let me show you. Okay, so let's see. Second, I mean, all right. Okay, so Bragg soldiers who cheered Trump's political attacks while in uniform were checked for allegiance appearance. It was supposed to be a routine appearance, a visit from the commander of in chief to rally the troops, boost morale, and celebrate the Army's 250th week, which culminates with the Washington, D.C. parade slated for Saturday. Instead, what unfolded Tuesday at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, bore little resemblance to the customary visits from a president and defense secretary. There, President Donald Trump unleashed a speech laced with partisan invective, goading jeers from a crowd of soldiers positioned behind his podium, blurring the long-standing and sacrosanct line between the military and partisan politics. So, as Trump viciously attacks perceived political foes, he whipped up boos from the gathered troop. Okay, hold on. Okay, from the gathered troops directed at California leaders, including Governor Gavin Newsom, amid the president's controversial move to deploy the National Guard and Marines against protesters in LA, as well as former President Biden and the press. The soldiers roared with laughter and applauded Trump's diatribe in a shocking and weird public display of troops taking part in naked political partisanship. Okay. Internal 82nd Airborne Division communications reviewed by military.com reveal a tightly orchestrated effort to curate the optics of Trump's recent visit, including handpicking soldiers for the audience based on political leanings and physical appearance. The troops ultimately selected to be behind Trump and visible to the cameras were almost exclusively male. So, this has been a bad week for the Army, for anyone who cares about us being a neutral institution. One commander at Fort Bragg told military.com on the condition of anonymity to avoid retaliation. This was shameful. I don't expect anything to come out of it, but I hope maybe we can learn from it long term. So, really, guys, what is there to say about this, right? But I guess I have a question, right? So, what is going on? What is going to happen to these soldiers? What's happening with the military, and what's happening? What's going to happen to the military next, right? And how long until it changes back to what it was just recently? I see both Trump removed and Hegseth being arrested for selling secrets and sharing secrets with the world. And remember the phone and everything, espionage uh, charges. That's right. The next administration will have to see Kamala. There's a lot to change, right? We have this criminal essentially in charge. So I have a question. I mean, again, I'm asking these questions almost like devil's advocate questions. Will any of this uh okay, does any of this mean that the military is no longer like the thing that I saw before? Is it still likely to happen? Saying, of course, it's if you can believe it, Rosie, he hasn't quite yet reached the bottom. If you can believe, there'll be more because Putin is desperate and he's going to ask for his money back, so to speak. Okay, so interesting. All right, so let's go to the next. Okay, guys, so I took a pause. So I was recording, right? The whole thing, and I recorded a lot of topics. I had several more topics that I wanted to discuss, but then I had a reading with someone that I was going to do that I just did. It was a wonderful reading, and we talked a lot about the light. And just a reminder, sometimes it's good to have to pause from all the things we see, and we ask, what is truth, right, in the midst of all this? And by truth, I don't even mean like factual truth. I mean what matters, right? So you ask, what is truth? And you stand by the light, because this is what we can do also to quote unquote win. Because if we cannot let the trash and his minions lower our vibrations, we must, I was talking to her, the person I just spoke to just now. And I said, I've seen, and I was like, wait, is that a reflection? Because I swear I saw this little, like this thing. And now I feel like I just saw it and I'm like, it is not something in my eye. You know, sometimes you could have some eyesight problem actually, but it's not. It's something, I just feel this spirit. Maybe, sometimes like lately, sometimes it appears in the videos, but it's saying yes. It's confirming to me. I feel them saying yes. That we ask when we think of, what is so send the light, even to Tress, say, what is the light? I'm sorry, what is the truth here? The truth is the light. And that this creature is lower, and it's like the devil seducing us to go lower, but we're not. We're going to go high in the sense that we're going to stick to the highest vibrations, the energy of good, and the energy of the divine. Okay. So, okay. So this is, I'm not sure. It's like it looks kind of showing off now, but I'm just putting all of these things together because that's right. Sending the light and around the situation, around this whole Capricorn thing, around all of it. So that this is the things that we cling on to. Okay. So, right. So there's, because guys, I also didn't post, I was going to post before I had the reading, but I was like, there's so much more to discuss. I'm just going to take a little break, like wasn't a little break. It was sort of long, but I was talking to someone, but I'm glad because I don't want to release the entire video. I felt like it's one of those days where I have to do a longer video, even if it means it's going to go out later. Okay. I really do feel this way. So, all right. So I took another break. So I actually enjoy doing this, guys, to not that the break necessarily, but sometimes I feel like, oh, I want to do this like really intense, long reading. But then there's sometimes things to do. I was calling my stepdad to wish him a happy birthday. I wanted to make sure I did that. Right. So it's good. It worked out. So, but as I was getting ready for the next topic, which has to do with all these events happening on on Saturday. It has a lot to do with the military. So, guys, I know you guys who know me from here know that I have some ADD. It's not just ADD, but I feel like I saw some. I feel like guys spirits are around. I'm telling you, a lot of them. Anyway, so I'm closing my eyes so that I don't get distracted. But the point that I'm making here is this: that there's so much going on. I'm still reorganizing the space and all kinds of things going on. So I haven't forgotten. I'm doing a video on Elspeth about Elspeth, the painter who worked on Kamala. I'm also starting to insert slowly readings about patterns on the other side that you had sent me. So what I'm probably going to do is to do one out of, like, in the video. I take the time to do one. And I immediately thought about this because the situation that we're dealing with has so much to do with that. So I'm going to start with someone that I know. She's a Australian American. Her name starts with an M. I don't want to give anybody, personal details. Okay. Because I don't want, as you guys know, the internet is a strange place. You never know who, right? I don't want anybody to, I don't know, not harass you is the word, but you know what I'm saying? Like, just wanted to keep it private. So anyway, so I'm going to ask about him. If he has a message. So she has a kind of like a long description about him. I'm going to read it here because I don't want to clog the whole screen with it. Okay, so this is him. I would like to ask if David. Yeah, so my uncle is calling out David Hockworth. He's one of America's most decorated soldiers. There are three. He is one. I would like to ask David if there are battalions of servicemen and women working on the other side to help us. They must be so outraged by a draft dodger in chief, especially those like my uncle who did multiple tours in Vietnam, and Pete the drunk's statement where he only refers to men serving. The females on the other side who serve must be furious. Can they not come together as a unified force to spook, rattle, and haunt these traitors like a ghost army? So, and then so just a couple more details about him, I think irrelevant. David was born and raised in Venice Beach, California. He died of kidney cancer from Agent Blow used by special forces deep in the Mekong. Maybe she meant orange. In TJ, as he was undergoing treatment not approved in the US. Flew his surgeons down there from US. He lived in Connecticut. I don't know about Agent Blue. I know about Agent Orange, but it's okay. Maybe it is Agent Blue. Okay. So she forgot the most important bit. He's buried at Arlington. Okay. So Uncle Colonel David Hackworth Do you have a this is a Morsi. When we did veterans meetings before, I looked into him. I think if I recall correctly, I'm sure I did. But it's good to talk about him again. So so this is her question. First is I remember how I said it, guys. First is a question, and then the question about their information about what's going on right now. So, David, are there battalions of servicemen and women working on the other side to help us? And what's going on with you? And then messages. Okay, so I see him sort of resting and still watching on the other side all the things he was going through in a way that he feels less with less shell shocked because he went through so much when he was there in Vietnam that the rest of his life was like as if he's still as if he had already lived kind of, and the rest of the life was just dealing with all that he saw. It was so intense. He was dead all. He was. It's as if he had fought and lived so many lives already. So I'm here with the buddy. Yes, I'm here with my buddies. Yes, we're all here together. We have served this country, has served, we worked for us. We worked for one another. And the most important thing is that we could trust each other. We did everything we could to support and help each other and fought for each other's lives. We had each other's back. That's what fighting was all about. And this man, it's the opposite. It's about betraying those who served. That's we know. We see you. We see you trash. We see you trash. So David, is there okay? Follow your. He's saying to you, M. Follow your heart. Do what your heart tells you in this moment in your life. Trust your gut. Ask for guidance. There's so much more for you still to do, and it has to do with your values. He's saying, okay. So, and that's what thing that matters the most is standing up for each other. And that's what Americans are doing right now. America, there may be a few that still don't, but this is the time when all of it is recognized for what it is. And it's saying they're all there together watching this. So, and I see, so is there working, are you working on the other side to help us? It's saying there is a plan in place to take him down. So I guess I thought the question was going to be about, it wasn't necessarily the question, but it's okay. So sorry, David. I'm not controlling here. It's interesting you're saying that. I think the perspective here is that she thought from like the ghost place was a question, but he's saying yes, and the earth plane there is a plan. Yes, same way Rose, they always have these plans together for if there's something wrong goes and the country goes down, they can put that in. It's continuity of government. Yes, that's what it is. So, and he's like, shh, no, we can say more, but that's it. People could look that up, what that means. They will understand it. It depends. So is there people on the other side? He is saying he has perception. He has been haunted. He knows it. He knows it. And that there are ghosts in the White House. There are many ghosts sort of rattling him. And saying the challenge for someone like him that he's like the devil. He doesn't believe in the things we believe in. He believes that he has power like gods or like the high spirits. That's what, so he's not afraid of certain things, and he may take the haunting as a taunt for him to keep going. So, but it's saying there are plans in place to take him down. Yes. So do you have any insight? My question now, David, for you is, do you have any insight about what's going to happen this weekend? Because there's this, it's like, So he's laughing. What you laughing about, David? What's so funny? Was it Bones first has a parade? Give me a break. We know what he's about. He's about running. He is a coward. So it's actually technically this. 250th anniversary of the Army on Saturday, you say. Okay, so what I see, the rain and slippery. It may not happen. Okay. So what do you see happening on Saturday, David? He's deflated. And it see shows me a volcano, like things exploding out. So there's more to come. And it's saying, don't worry. Don't focus on what he's planning. The focus on everything collapsing. Focus on the light. Shine the light onto the events he plans and such, so that because everything he's about evil, he's about creating harm. And when you put the spotlight onto that in terms of the highest light, it makes all these things collapse because they are lies, they are deceitful, and it gets harder and harder for him to keep going in this manner. Okay, so what about the protests? The No King's Day protests, what's happening? What do you see happening, David? I see that a lot of people are coming together in different neighborhoods in different areas of the country. And of course, you will try to create situations, especially in cities that are known to be blue. Cities that are known to be blue, he was going to try to put his goons down, but it will not have the intended effect. There is a lot of people connecting, coming together. So, David, I was okay. I was worried that people should I tell people to go protest or be home? What do you suggest? Because he could try to do things to people. He is deflated, Rosie. Never do anything, never plan anything based on fearing his power, because you have to start from the perspective that he has no power because he's a liar. You understand? So you can never take it seriously, whatever threats he has. He has been able to put some infiltrators and to send some army folks down there, but it's not going to be, he's saying it's not going to be like Kent State's, right? It is not going to be what he wants it to be, or Stephen Miller. He's saying Stephen Miller has a hell of a life ahead of him. He's saying, it's a hell of a life ahead of him. What a coward, evil man. The hell is just beginning. Okay. So interesting. Okay, so this is him. Thank you, David. Calling out David Hapworth. And he keep your eye on the prize. Think of the values of this country. That's what you focus on. Don't feed yourself. See, no, I understand, Rosie, you have to watch the news and see what's going on, but see it almost like a cartoon. Do not give power to the images that are being fed to you. Give power to God's message, the message of the light, and send that power that God has onto this person and his events, so that things will collapse, because they will collapse under the weight, the remarkable power of the light. So, okay, all right. So, wow, so interesting. So I'm going to pause here. So now that I have spoken to David, because I had written these questions before I connected with him, way before I knew that I was going to include him in today's video. So I had formulated this question: what will take place on Saturday, June 14th, between this parade, which is the Army's birthday, in addition to being something that Trash is using for himself, Hope's televised event in Chicago, and the No Kings protests scheduled to take place all over the USA. So, of course, these are separate events, but they're together because it's on the same date. So what is happening? People coming together. There's some chaos, yes, but there's this overwhelming sense that people are coming together stronger, and that the values that we have together, the things we stand for, are bigger than Trash's threats. So, and saying the Pope's event, also focus on that. If you can watch it, watch the being live streamed if you want to. Don't give space for Trash. It just is saying that, saying Rosie, I believe the area where it's an arena, I think, where the Pope is going to speak, I think it's protected from the elements. I still see that there's bad weather and even like kind of like thunder or something, stuff like that. And so, and all over it's saying the power of the people is what will stay. So it's saying you have to trust your gut. There is some risk that there are infiltrators, but overall, it's a very organized and connected conversation. People feeling stronger together, the country coming together for something good. So, okay, so that's the interesting insight about this. Okay, all right. So this is, guys, I have this crazy list, right? Sometimes the topics are really unrelated, but I have this. You may not know this, but I actually I follow Roger Stone on what is it called? Substack. Not because I care about anything that he's saying, but because I like to keep track of the messaging. And Roger Stone, as you know, right, he was a he is still a political operator. He worked for Nixon when he was really young. Then he started this political consulting company with Manafort, who legit worked for Russians. And I've seen this for years ago. He still works with, I think, Russian intelligence. And it's good I find it interesting, even especially for this channel, to see what he's saying, because that tells us how they're thinking of things and how they're using propaganda, their propaganda. So I wasn't surprised because it's kind of something you expect. But what he's saying is what doesn't make sense. He's saying these things and he's announcing it. And when sometimes people say, "Oh, why is he saying that?" It's fascism is like this. They do something and then blame the opposition for their own crimes. So today's Roger Stone thing was saying like this is I was to show this to you because it shows how they are behind this whole thing and how dangerous this is. And guys, it really is very upsetting. Okay, so let me share this with you. Obviously, I'm not promoting Roger Stone. I do not like him, but I think it's just very telling. Okay, here it is. So this is his newsletter. Here it is. Here, Stone Cold Truth, Roger Stone. So this is what he's saying: provoke riots, right? So, in other words, in translation, we are working behind the scenes to foment these riots. And then plans what so guys, this is thing. It's like a confession. So it's scary, right? You look at it and it's like, wow, confession. They are behind these wild, does make sense? Like remember, this is the second thing. This is the thing, guys, about California and Trump and all that. They're behind this and all the fires. They are behind it. So he's saying provoke riots and wildfires and plan wildfires inside the Orwellian reimagining of militia. As the riots rage, the familiar pattern emerges of the scene of pallets of bricks mysteriously showing up to empower Antifa, in other words, his thugs and other leftists to cause carnage. Okay. Okay. So, okay. So here it is. Aside from an agenda to promote chaos, okay, this basically is a confession. Aside from an agenda to promote chaos to hurt President Trump and hamper his immigration enforcement measures, there's a broader and more insidious plan to cause destruction within the city for the sake of destruction. I'm not reading the whole thing, right? Just parts of it. There is worldwide impetus for the smart city infrastructure okay, that's right. All right, so that's right. So anyway, so what I'm saying to you guys is that to me, this is a confession, right? And so let me ask here. So by Roger Stone, we're using this sort of fascist language of blaming the other things they're doing. Is he confessing? One and two, is so part one is okay. So okay, I'm just actually let me type this because it's interesting. 1 second. So okay, going back here, is Roger Stone then confessing when he's using the fascist language of blaming the victims for the Trump Stone camp's own actions? Right? He was saying, "Oh, the left this, the left that." That's right. So he is reaffirming the target of this, which is the so-called left and the blue states in California. And yes, he's blaming them for it. So first, it starts with the people they're going to hurt. not just the immigrants, but how the state, it's a deliberate attempt to do that, yes. And then, yes, absolutely. Because see, remember, Rosie, nobody's right now, no one's talking about the wildfires. Why is he suddenly bringing that up? Because in Trump's mind, these two things are connected because he caused two of them. So it's saying, Rosie, this is a case of duper July test. In fact, indeed it is. So they're creating this and they're enjoying themselves. So, wow. So okay, what does he know about what Trump and they know that they have plans? It's saying it's not different from January 6th and other California events. Yes, he knew. He doesn't know the details, but he knows there's something there. He knows because he knows what he's supposed to say because people like him are notified of what they're supposed to talk about while this is happening. Okay, so whoa. Does this mean Roger Stone knows Trump's people are responsible not only for the escalation of the so-called riots and the wildfires? Yes, both true on two counts. It's an attack, a form of domestic terrorism against California. And it's saying, Rosie, yes, he knows. But the good news is Gavin Newsom also knows, and he's going to have the last laugh. Once the government collapses, all those people are going to be picked up and held responsible. Keep the light and keep the faith. Okay. Wow. So, guys, okay, there's a lot, too much going on. The last thing I want to talk about, okay, right now, guys, I'll talk about it tomorrow. There's just so much going on. I know that Elon Musk said something. No, he regrets, but let's talk about it tomorrow. The last thing I want to know is about the whole thing about Iran because I know that Bibi was Bibi's government almost like they scheduled this vote in Israel, but it was postponed. It was supposed to happen today. The government could have been dissolved today. So, of course, this is classic, right? Bibi is now saying that he's going to attack Iran because he's constantly going after random wars, not random exactly, but you know what I'm saying? He always does that because he's desperate to stay in power. At the same time, Trump is wildly trying to create more and more chaos so he can take over. Does that make sense? And by the way, don't worry, it's not going to happen. I don't see it happening, but okay, more and more chaos. So let me share this with you because let's see. Sometimes you never know. Okay, so what is happening here? So U.S. evacuating personnel from the Middle East amid growing tensions with Iran. Okay, the U.S. evacuating non-essential staff from the embassy in Baghdad and families members of military personnel from several bases in the Gulf amid growing concerns about their security situation, according to two State Department and Pentagon officials. The unusual steps are taking place ahead of a crucial round of nuclear negotiations between the U.S. and Iran, and amid threats made by Tehran to launch missile strikes against U.S. military bases in the region in retaliation for any attack on Iran's nuclear facilities. Israeli officials say the IDF has been on extremely high alert in recent days for possible escalation with Iran. The evacuations were announced 3 days after President Trump held a meeting on Iran with his top national security team at Camp David. Interesting. It's funny. It's the first time I hear about this, but it was about Iran. I don't feel like it was. Okay, so let's see. All right, because I talked about the meeting, right? All right, so what is the story here? What's going on? Let's see. Okay. Is there going to be I feel like honestly, there's this first. I don't think that Iran wants to do something because they know exactly, for example, what Bibi's doing, and they did not want to give more rope to Bibi because that would be perfect for him. Any attack from Iran, right? So they prefer that he leave. And I see, guys, that I honestly think, I know it sounds crazy that Russia, who is the real boss of Trump and Texas, wants the US out of all countries, as many countries as possible, so the influence is lessened. And I think this is possibly one of the situations where it's done very hurriedly as a means to kind of get the US out so they can somehow get in and have more power. So let me go back here then to the question. Okay, is Iran going to attack the US? So will Iran attack US bases? I think it's saying that I kind of feel like, honestly, no, I don't necessarily think it's going to happen. I mean, I think there's an issue of the Yemen. Yemen is also there's a militia there made up of Shia Muslims that are connected to Iran, but it's saying they made a deal with them, and if anything, they could attack Israel, but not as big of a thing that they're wanting it to be. And I see Bibi is wishing for this. Okay, now I know that again because the situation of Bibi is so desperate, is Bibi going to attack Iran? This is possible. The opposite could happen. He wants to, but I think it could even be stopped by Israel because he wants to create more and more war so that he stays in power. But I think so. I think this is it's not exactly a ruse, but it's a way it doesn't make sense to create put people on alert and extend their power. And I don't feel necessarily that Trump wants to actually attack Iran because Russia is in charge, right? And Russia is in charge. Let's be real. Russia is in charge of Trump, and Russia uh, does not want an attack on their ally Iran. Okay, but that's my sense. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna pause and okay, guys, that's the thing for today. It's been a long day, right? In terms of so many topics, and I'm gonna post it soon. Okay. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye. Bye.